There will be something new to see by the time the year comes to a close, and there will still be between 4 and 5 trillion on the table. Yes, you read it correctly, we have a prediction that Bitcoin will reach $3 million within the next 2.5 years. Alright, let's get started. Bitcoin is capable of seeing a rise that might cause it to surpass its present all-time high. And at this very moment, it is up with $71.1.55 worth of Bitcoin, reaching the year 2631 at the end. It is now available. USDT and USDC are currently trading at 99 cents with 3.91% and XRP at a mean at 52 cents, both of which are up 1.04% over the course of the previous day. Given that the overall market value of cryptocurrencies is currently estimated to be $2 trillion, where do we go from here? People, it is so simple. 2.5 trillion will be the total amount. It was just a week ago that I made a phone call to remind everyone to brace themselves and get ready for the imminent arrival of 2.5 trillion. According to what I mentioned earlier, the subsequent stage will be 2.5 trillion. The real fuel is described here. We intend to compare the price of Bitcoin to the current year in order to determine whether or not we have achieved our goal of $3 trillion. In addition to this, we will keep an eye on how the market reacts to the impending election, especially Dr. Buffett. Although there will be a few less elections on November 5th, we believe that the market will be in a bull 2.0 phase. For a considerable amount of time, this channel has been addressing this story, and now we are in the fourth quarter of elections, just around the next bend in the road. The second wave will begin on November 5th, which is the specific date. From a purely technical standpoint, this is the beginning of this bull run pickup. Everything will ignite, the value of Bitcoin will continue to grow, and money will start to cycle out into the year 2025. At that moment, Bitcoin's dominance will start to decrease, and the alternative cryptocurrency that you like will begin to increase. For the purpose of ensuring stability, we developed cryptocurrency marketplaces that were tailored expressly for years like these. In the event that there is a vote, we are not unprepared. For this, we are looking forward with great excitement. You should get ready now since the time has come. I can guarantee that this will be unlike anything you have ever seen before. BitPay released this post on December 8th. I can say this with absolute certainty. In the following post, we will investigate earlier Bitcoins and the pricing of those Bitcoins. An election was also scheduled to take place in this region. We were spoiled since, prior to the major event, institutions had entered the cryptocurrency market for the first time, which caused Bitcoin to demolish its previous all-time high. The election will serve as gasoline for this run, but before we get started, it is important to keep in mind that we were spoiled. As we proceed down, we take into consideration the number 1, which was November 8, 2012, when a block was dropped from 25 Bitcoin to 25 Bitcoin, or a reward from 50 Bitcoin to 25 Bitcoin to 25 Bitcoin. This indicates that we are currently in a super cycle. When the price of Bitcoin reached its all-time high of $113 the next year, the cycle came to an end. With a price of $1,152 in 2016, Bitcoin came in at number 2 on the list. At that time, the price was $664, but by the following year, it had increased to about $17,000, placing it in the top spot. On May 11, 2020, the price reached its highest point of $9,734. During the next year, the highest point reached was $67,549. Remember that having 3 was unique because of the pandemic that struck, which many people feel terminated our lives. This is something you should bear in mind. Right now, where are we at? Bitcoin is currently trading above $71,000, which is just a few $1,000s away from breaking the record. This represents a new high for the cryptocurrency, which had never before reached that level. This is where the statistics are going to go from here. In this particular scenario, I believe that the range of 150 to 175 is a sure thing. The top of the parabolic blow-up, on the other hand, was visible. There are some persons that want a price as high as $300,000, which is about approximately the $250,000. The institutions and institutional funds that are about to enter the market will be the ones that determine the market themselves. Bitcoin checks rose from 30 to 48,000, then back down to 38,000, and then they went up from 38,000 to a new all-time high. The price of Bitcoin reached a new all-time high earlier this year, until the Federal Reserve lowered it by 50 basis points in September. We are looking forward to the publication of a Bitcoin magazine and a 6-figure Bitcoin that will be presented by Charles Payne on Fox Business this year. Both of these events are anticipated to emerge. El Sabre is now able to experience the great American dream as a result of Bitcoin. As a nation, we have developed a strong commitment to Bitcoin. As a form of payment, Bitcoin is accepted. I am Max Hare. Good day. Remember to pay attention, Kaiser Kaiser. According to your assertion, Max, the American dream is now being realized in El Salvador as a result of Bitcoin. Perhaps you could elaborate on that. As far as we are concerned, the Salvadoran dream is still going strong. On the other hand, Charles is going through a reverse migration that is rather considerable at the southern frontier. As a result of our economic independence, freedom of speech, and ability to repay debt, a greater number of individuals are traveling to El Salvador than the other way around. Currently, the economy is growing. Inflation is lower than 1%. It is the most secure nation in the Western Hemisphere, and President Buell is the most well-liked leader in the entire planet. In comparison to traveling to Disneyland, coming here is now a safer option. As far as El Salvador is concerned, the likelihood of having to deal with a tax year in El Salvador is higher than it is at Disneyland. Max, our housekeeper, is originally from El Salvador, as you are definitely aware. Despite the fact that Max, our housekeeper, has been a citizen of the United States for the past 3 years, she has never stopped expressing her wish to go back to her country of origin, which she eventually did. She recently returned from a trip and indicated that Bukel is not only to your point of approval, with a rating of over 93%, but that every nation in El Salvador would appreciate having him as their president. She made this statement after she had recently returned from her trip. If it is that good, is it really? With the highest level of popularity, the president of the other nation, such as Guatemala or Chile, is the most popular person in the world. An excellent illustration of this is Nayib Bukele, the current president of Honduras. A leader that is able to make decisions, is courageous, charismatic, and exceptionally intelligent is what you are looking for. In addition to reducing the size of the government, he is responsible for the construction of breathtaking public works, such as the new library that is located in the historic heart of El Salvador. Take note, Charles. When Belly went after the gang about 2 years ago, this country received a peace dividend on the order of $6 billion, which was a significant advantage. Currently, the firm is valued around $28 billion. In an attempt to extort $6 billion, the firm targeted the target. The gang's profits poured straight back into the pockets of Salvadorans, and they have taken advantage of the fact that this has a cumulative effect on the financial situation. At the same time as they are migrating and starting new enterprises, they are also working to create a lively environment that will attract new inhabitants. Indeed, I am delighted that you brought it up. An economy cannot be successful without it, affluence cannot exist without peace, and thriving economies cannot exist if people are frightened to walk outdoors. Without it, no economy can succeed. I would like to inquire about Donald Trump in the United States of America. What do you think about the growing acceptance of Bitcoin in the United States of America in light of the fact that he has completely adopted the cryptocurrency? It would appear that the price of the cryptocurrency is always fluctuating in unison with his chances of winning the election. However, the United States of America is doing well. Comparable to El Salvador, is that correct? The fact that we are a nation that recognizes Bitcoin as a form of payment gives us the advantage of being the first to do so. Both Donald Trump and the United States of America are falling further and further behind as we start to construct financial markets based on Bitcoin. Despite the fact that Matt Gaetz is also behind, he is the founder of the El Salvadoran Caucus, which is performing fairly well in Washington, District of Columbia. The presence of Matt Gaetz can be found on almost every other weekend. On the 10th and 11th of January, he will be taking part in our golf tournament, so you will be able to catch him on the course. There is less than a minute left, so I need your attention. As a result of the existence of a possible danger, let us put a stop to our forward movement. It is important to investigate the things that have made the appropriate choices, since they will cause a considerable amount of damage. The action that they made for Bitcoin has resulted in numerous benefits. They took a risk, and it is paying off successfully. There is no sign that the price of Bitcoin will stop climbing. In accordance with a 2% portfolio that additionally takes into consideration the fact that 3 out of every 6 new members are actively engaged in the Bitcoin community, Vanik forecasts that the market value of Bitcoin will reach $3 million by the year 2050. The government provides the resources that Bitcoin uses. The narrative is only getting better from here on out. That will be crossed off the list, but it is not even close to becoming an all-time high. This very moment, Ben Heck is on his way. According to the predictions of our model, by the year 2050, central banks all over the world will hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset with a relatively low weight of 2% in international trade. On the basis of this model, we arrive at a price target of $3 million for Bitcoin, which, as you might say, is quite extreme. It is also possible that Bitcoin may achieve a value of $3 million and become a worldwide reserve asset that is largely considered acceptable. Nevertheless, considering that this is the compound annual growth rate of 16% over a period of several decades, it is extremely likely that the value of the asset would reach $3